You know what's strange? Some of the quietest people you meet are carrying the loudest storms inside them. They smile, they function, they show up every day, but beneath that surface is a constant pressure, like something is always waiting to spill. And the truth is, most of us never notice. We call them strong, independent, low maintenance, but that's not really what's happening. What we're actually seeing is someone who has learned, often early in life, that expressing too much costs too much. So instead of letting things out, they hold them in again and again until holding becomes their default setting. Picture this: a child who feels hurt but is told to be quiet, a teenager who wants to speak but fears being misunderstood, an adult who has emotions but no safe place to put them. Over time, they don't just suppress feelings, they learn to disconnect from them. And this is where things get interesting. Psychologists call this emotional suppression. It's not just about hiding feelings from others, it's about hiding them from yourself. The brain, trying to protect you, starts filtering what you feel. But emotions don't disappear. They simply go underground. Here's what most people don't realize. The more you suppress, the more your body remembers. Stress builds. Tension lingers. Small things start triggering big reactions. Not because you're weak, but because nothing was ever processed. It was just stored. Think about it. If you keep filling a container without ever emptying it, what happens? Eventually it overflows. But with people who carry too much inside, the overflow isn't obvious. It shows up as sudden anger, emotional numbness, anxiety, or even exhaustion that doesn't seem to have a clear cause. Historically, many cultures rewarded emotional restraint, especially for men, but also for anyone expected to be strong. Generations grew up believing that silence equals maturity, that composure means control. But in reality, it often meant unprocessed emotional weight being passed down quietly from one person to the next. Research in psychology has shown that people who consistently suppress emotions tend to experience higher levels of stress and lower overall well-being. Studies on emotional regulation suggest that expression, even in small ways, helps the brain process and release tension. But when expression is blocked, the mind stays stuck in a loop. But here's the deeper pattern. People who carry too much inside often become incredibly good at understanding others, while struggling to understand themselves. They can sense emotions in a room instantly, yet have no language for their own. Because for years, their focus was survival, not self-expression. And this is where things get even more subtle. Over time, they start identifying with being the calm one, the listener, the one who handles everything. It becomes part of their identity, but underneath that identity is a version of them that was never fully heard. Imagine living like that for years, always composed on the outside, always crowded on the inside. You function, but you never fully feel free. Because freedom isn't just about control, it's about release. And release requires something many of these people were never taught: how to safely feel. And maybe that's the real shift. Not forcing them to open up suddenly, but helping them realize that what's inside them isn't dangerous, that emotions aren't problems to solve, they're signals to understand. And slowly, with the right space, what was once held in can finally begin to move. We often admire people who seem strong on the surface, but strength isn't just about how much you can carry, it's about knowing when to put things down. So if you see someone who carries too much inside, remember, silence doesn't mean emptiness. It often means there's a story waiting to be heard. And maybe, starting today, that story deserves a voice. If this made you think, consider subscribing and support more videos like this.